This is Abe Freetanzer from cinemadailyus.com, and I'm thrilled to be speaking with Christopher Gorham about his new show, The Lincoln Lawyer. How are you today, Chris?
I'm great, Abe. Thank you, sir.
I'm excited to be able to talk to you. I watched you on Covert Affairs for a number of years and some other roles, so we'll get to those a little later. Let's start with The Lincoln Lawyer.
Great, good.
So I feel like I've seen you in a lot, but it's not usually just sort of straight, like legal drama thriller. What appealed to you about this project?
This is actually my first legal drama. I've done just about every other genre over 2+ decades, but this is the first one. So that was one of the things. But first of all, really, the fact that it was a David E. Kelley show raised my expectations when I got the script. And then I read the script and it was great, and found out Ted Humphrey from The Good Wife was going to be the showrunner. So I was really excited to be on board.
Did you have any knowledge of Michael Connelly as an author and his books?
You know, I was familiar with this, with the title. I'd seen the movie, but I hadn't read his books, but I knew that they were really popular.
How do you think that the show differs from the movie?
Well, the biggest way that differs is the obvious way in the casting of Mickey Haller. You know, the show hews much more closely to the books than the film did, because Mickey Haller in our show, just like in the books, is a Latino. So that is the most important, and I think the most obvious difference between the series and the film. And it's great, and it allows the storytelling to explore a little bit more of that culture and that side of LA, which I think is really nice too.
I think for the first episode, also, your character is very intriguing because he's somebody who is the kind of person who's been accused of a crime and he's mostly angry about it. And that's never a good look for someone who likes to say that they're innocent, is that they're just pissed off. So what appealed to you about that character, and what do you think about that assessment?
Well, you know, I think it's more complicated than that, Abe. I think, but I know why you're saying that. And, you know, because this is a guy, it's part of what was so fun about this part is this is a guy who is used to everything working out for him. And he's used to being in charge, and everything's gone very well and everything's gone according to plan. And now suddenly he's about to move on, or, you know, move through this tragic period in his life. And his lawyer is killed, and that's something that happens that's completely outside of his control, right? He actually has no idea why that happened or who did that. But I think what's telling, especially in that first scene, is his biggest concern is not really for his lawyer; it's more about how it's going to affect him. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and it does make some sense. I mean, if you have all this power and then you're powerless, it's natural that you're going to react in a way that will, again, not make you seem more innocent. And I think watching The Staircase at the same time as this, it's sort of the same idea there, where somebody who supposedly has it all and then, again, is more offended by anything else than people who actually want to help prove that he's innocent.
Yeah.
So no,
this is a guy too that's used to being in charge, so he's a really hard time. You know, he and Mickey fight for control throughout the series, and that's a really fun thing to play too for an actor.
What was it like working with Manuel?
Oh, fantastic, man! He's he's a great guy, and he's such a talented actor. And you know, he's one like a lot of the great pros that I've worked with over the years. He's one of these guys who's just constantly trying to make every scene the best that it can be, right? And that's really all that you can ask for. So it was wonderful.
Did you try to base your character, take any inspiration from real life, powerful, rich people who have been in the public eye?
Well,
you don't have to name names, but
you know, not directly. Like, I think, you know, it inspired, you know, ideas in me that I think a lot of people had. You know, a lot of people point to those kind of reminiscent. Is it like an Elon Musk type of a guy? And I think as far as like just an archetype, I think that there are similarities there. For me, visually, the guy that I had in mind was more Neil Druckmann at Naughty Dog, partly just because I'm a huge fan of the Last of Us video game. So I like the idea of a guy kind of with that kind of creative control. So those are the two guys that were kind of in my head, but it's not at all like a direct, you know, where no one was directly pulling from, you know, newsreels from those guys.
What do you think was most challenging to relate to about Trevor?
Well, you know, the challenging piece to it, storytelling wise, is being able to get the audience to really question whether or not he's guilty, right? Because you have to believe when he tells that story about how he's explaining, when he really shows his vulnerable side to Mickey in his second scene in that first episode. It happens multiple times throughout the season. You have to see his emotional truth, and you have to see the vulnerable side of him, and it has to be convincing, right? Like he has to convince Mickey that he didn't do it. I have to convince the audience that I didn't do it, or at least make them question their gut instinct, which, of course, based on all the evidence, is that, of course, he absolutely did this. So that's the challenge, is finding the truth in there that you can really hold on to and express emotionally in a convincing way.
Well, I think you do a very good job with it. So
thank you.
Congratulations on that. I know you've worked with Netflix before. How do you feel about the idea that all of the episodes of the show are available to watch at one point? Should people watch them like that, or is it better to spread it out?
Listen, I don't know what's better. I think it's a personal preference. For me, typically, I enjoy spreading things out. But I'm an old man now. So, some people really like to binge it. It's totally personal preference. As far as doing promotion for a show, and, when you're playing a role like this that has, like, when you're waiting to find out the verdict of the case at the end of the series, it makes it easier to talk about when it's dropped all the episodes at once, like it's on Netflix, because when there are secrets, you don't feel like you have to hold those secrets for weeks and weeks and weeks. You can kind of talk about things pretty quickly. As far as doing promotion for a show, it makes it easier when they drop all at once. But as an audience member, I prefer it the other way, actually.
I think I agree. Do you feel that the experience of doing a legal drama like this makes you want to do it again?
It really does, actually. I really want to play the lawyer next time. Yeah, I'm going to have a talk with Ted Humphrey about it and see what we can come up with.
Defense or prosecution?
It doesn't matter. I don't know. It's okay. It doesn't matter. As long as the story's good, it doesn't matter. I mean, because you root for both in this show, right? Like, Neve's character is a prosecutor, but you like her too. So it kind of just depends on the story.
Yeah, no, the show really has a great cast. Is there anyone besides Manuel and Neve you'd like to single out? Just had your experience working with them?
Well, Becky Newton, because we worked together on Ugly Betty, and it was such like a wonderful reunion to be able to spend some time with her. It's my only regret about this show is that we didn't have more scenes together.
I think Becky Newton should be in everything. I think that should be a rule. Every time she was in a little bit of divorces and all this stuff, and like her shows just don't seem to take off. I'm not sure why. Like, she should be the star of everything.
She makes everything better.
So yeah, even though her role in this isn't necessarily so big, it's just as soon as she's on screen, it's lovely.
Cool. She lights up the screen, and I love the dynamic too between her and Neve. I expect that first scene, it's like so like, oh, you look pretty. It's just so loaded. It's really good.
And Ugly Betty, of course, that's like such a different kind of viewing experience. What are your thoughts just looking back on your time on that show?
Oh boy. I mean, I have so many great memories from doing Ugly Betty. It was a different time, of course, but it was a beautiful show. It was vibrant. It was fun. It was diverse in a way that at the time there really was not a lot of diversity on TV. Most importantly, with Silvio Orta behind the camera as a showrunner at the time, I think he was the only Latino showrunner in Hollywood. So a real trailblazer, and he deserves a lot of credit.
And I mentioned at the start my affinity for your performance on Covert Affairs. Is Augie one of your most beloved roles?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, to me too, because he's the role I've played the longest. I was able to play that guy for 5 years, so I felt like I got really good at it. So yeah, I miss it. That was a great show.
I feel like we see so much stuff coming back right now, and that's like that kind of spy thriller is exactly the kind of thing that could easily be rebooted. Is there a chance that could happen?
Listen, Abe, I tell you, I've been trying for years to have them let us do like a little Covert Affairs movie to revisit those characters, but you gotta talk to people in charge.
Well, so we've talked mostly about TV, but I know you also have this film career. Do you have a preference for one medium over the other?
No. It's all just about No, it's still the same job, right? For us and the cast, it's always just about, being truthful, in every scene and trying to make every scene real and emotional and engaging. So the biggest difference just kind of depends on the budget of the movie or the TV show, because it expands or contracts the amount of time you have to work on things. But otherwise, no. Like I did a tiny little part in One Night in Miami, and and it was a wonderful experience, and partly because it was such an incredible film and such an important film, and so, I was just so honored to be asked to be even a tiny little part in it.
A tiny little part, but a pretty significant, role, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was. It was pretty special. It was nice because Morgan Fairchild dated Johnny Carson for a while, and Morgan has become a good friend of ours. And so I was able to go and really pick her brain, and I got the seal of approval from Morgan on my little cameo. So it was really nice.
That's wonderful. I saw that you have two very interesting sounding projects coming up listed on IMDb. I'm not sure if you can talk about them, but I'd love to know what you're working on next. The two summaries, there was one line about each, and I was like, I would see both of these for sure, just based on that.
Well, one that I just did a comedy pilot for CBS called Unplanned in Akron. With Katie Mixon, and a great project. Unfortunately, it is not going ahead at CBS, but we're hoping that it's going to get picked up and find a home somewhere so that everybody gets to see it, because it's a really sweet show. It's kind of like a throwback to kind of Roseanne, but with more heart. It was really great. So it was disappointing news this last week, but we've still got our fingers crossed. We'll see. So that's the next thing that's up.
Do you have anything else after that, or you can't share that just yet?
That's all I got to talk about right now.
Okay. Well, it's wonderful to be able to talk to you. I'm excited to see what happens. I hope that show works out. And I hope everybody will enjoy The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix. For more great content like this, you can subscribe to the Cinema Daily US YouTube channel. Thanks so much, Chris. It was nice to meet you.
Thanks, Abe. Nice to meet you too.